Hello, baseball fans. Welcome back to the Buster Ball Podcast. My name is Billy B. Well, the Giants are heading to Atlanta to start a 3-game series with the Braves, which will be very difficult. Let me talk about the kind of the last 10 or so games where the Giants have played. They split some games with the Brewers, 2-2. They had that 12-9 shootout there on June 4th, which was exciting. And then off to the Cubs, where they ended up taking 2 of 3 there, June 5th, 6th, and 7th. Their offense blew up on the 4th for 12 runs. On the 5th, they scored 18 runs. So they go 2-3, or they go 2-1 against the Cubs, and then they take on the Nationals and kind of fall apart. There were some coaching problems. There were some late inning defense lapses, but the first 2 games, the 8th and 9th, were really bad in Washington. They lost those games, and then June 10th was that magical game when the Giants were down 9-1 in the 8th inning and then ended up winning the game 11-10 with the grand slam by Bryce Eldridge, which statistically it was one of the most amazing events of the year, really, in terms of bases loaded, bottom of the 9th or top of the 9th. And, it was just a bad situation. But they really pulled through, and that was I think the first time in, 30, 40, 50, 30 games or something that they came back from a down in the 6th inning to win the game. They haven't done that very much this year. That was the one time they did it, and it was really cool to see. Then the Giants showed up back here at home against the Cubs, and man, they were stinkers. They were just stinkers. I think they won 1 game. So anyway, let's kind of talk about kind of what's gone on. In the last 10 games, their on-base average and their runs created has shown really great signs of dramatic midseason turnaround. While their season average is still at 94 for the runs created, but this stretch has really been a noticeable spike to 114 runs created. The hitters are displaying a massive upgrade in making meaningful contact and forcing deep pitching counts. So what we like to see, if they continue that, will be good. Base running, the Giants remain mostly conservative on the base paths, while the top of the order bats are providing a pretty reliable on-base anchor. The team lacks dynamic, high-volume threat generation via stolen bases. The pitching and fielding, let's see. The runs allowed per game have been 4.5, which is, you've really putting yourself in a tough situation. You have to score at least 5 runs to win. Let's see. So pitching, the team, the FIP hovered around 3.50, fielding independent pitching, while the foundational rotation FIP sits at a brilliant 310. This indicates that the starting pitcher's pitching is severely outperforming its face value metrics, which is limiting hard contact and displaying excellent control. The defense wins above replacement. The defensive WAR really has been the Achilles heel this year. The Giants rank in the bottom 5 for outfield defense in terms of defensive run save, DRS. Poor outfield routes and unforced mistakes have frequently cost bullpen clean exits, so we got problems in the outfield. The top three performers have been Luis Arias, of course. He's just, undeniable motor of the team. He's leading the team with an exceptional 2.2 individual wins over replacements. His WAR. Overall, his elite bat-to-ball skill profile sets at the table during high-scoring innings, acting as a lock at the top of the lineup. Casey Schmidt, he's been enduring a breakout window, pacing the roster with 15 home runs. I think over the stretch, his individual runs created scaled to 129, which is super high, paired with a robust 355 weighted on base average. And this has all been driven by massively improved 35.3 chase rate and near your elite hard hit metrics. So Casey's really stopped chasing after bad pitches, which is great. He was really bad at that for a while. So he's tightened up his game. Matt Chapman on third base has kind of woken up. He's proved to be a focal point on the run expectancy creation. Most notably, the June 10th walk-off thriller against Washington. He went 4 for 5 with 2 home runs, 3 RBIs. Single-handedly shifting the team's situational RE24 metrics back into winning probabilities. The RE24 metrics are what they do when people are on base. It's a cool stat. I'll talk more about that later. So some of the positive trends, the high leverage, clutch resiliency. The team is displaying massive fight when trailing late, which is unusual. The June 10th game showcased that the team can aggressively slug their way out of deficits using dynamic sequencing rather than playing passive station-to-station baseball. Very boring, passive station-to-station baseball. Excellent underlying starter metrics. The tandem of foundational starters, including guys like Rupp and Hauser, are holding down an elite fielding independent pitching baseline of 3.10. They aren't beating themselves with walks, which guarantees the Giants stay competitive nearly every night. So they're not walking too many people, which is nice. Some of the negative trends is the leaky outfield defense, the continuous failure to turn borderline singles into outs, or deep flies in routine catches has repeatedly given opposing offensive extra outs per game, resulting in highly preventable unearned runs. And the last negative trend is extreme stat volatility. Scoring 18 runs one night and then immediately following up with a 2-1 run performance highlights an alarming lack of night-to-night offensive consistency. And that really, sums it up into a nutshell there. They got to be much more consistent in scoring runs every game. So now we move into the Giants and Braves preview. This is going to be a really tough series, just because the Braves enter the series with a dominant record, 45-24, a 652 winning percentage, leading the NL East very decisively. Despite a minor skid, their overall offense and pitching profile remains elite. The Giants, sitting at 28 and 43, are in a rebuilding, evaluating phase. Like that. Struggling with consistency in the rotation and outfield defense, though they have shown flashes of power, as we just talked about. Let's talk about the offensive profile here for Atlanta. Their lineup is anchored by heavy hitters like Matt Olson and Michael Harris. They rely on high-volume run production. The Giants, by contrast, rely heavily on volatile production. They are prone to stretches of low scoring followed by power surges, suggesting a reliance on home run sequences rather than sustained base-to-base efficiency. Pitching defense, Atlanta's team ERA and overall pitching metrics significantly outperform the Giants. The Giants continue to struggle with defensive efficiency, especially bottom 5 ranked outfield defense via defensive runs scored, which complicates the work of their starters. So in the 3 games here, Hauser's going to take on Holmes. Braves have the edge. Robbie Ray versus Richie. Braves have the edge. And Royo, I don't know who that is. And Perez is the Braves. So this could very easily be a 2-1 or a 3-0 thing for the Braves, a sweep, which would really suck. So the Giants are really going to have to get on their game here, not to get swept and fall farther behind. So what do the Giants need to do to quell the Braves? The Giants need the Atlanta hitters not to be so aggressive. Pitchers should focus on pairing fastballs with off-speed pitches that start in the same vertical plane and drive up their swinging strike percentage and whiffs. So that's called tunneling, where the pitch comes from the same spot but has different movements. The Giants need to pitch to weakness against power threats like Matt Olson. Avoiding the heart of the plate is non-negotiable. The Giants pitchers must utilize edges of the zone to force low-quality contact. Hard hit percentage suppression, they call that. And leverage management. Giants' tendency for volatile offense production, they must use the pitching leverage index to ensure that their best high-leverage bullpen arms are used against the top of the Braves' order, rather than letting low-average situations drain the unit. That's a complete Tony Vitello miss in the major leagues, is the pitcher leverage index. He consistently lets high-leverage arms go against the bottom of the lineup, which is ridiculous. So, as I said, we got Matt Olson, Harris, and Austin Riley are their big threats. Olson is his primary power threat. His ISO and home run totals make him the anchor. He's pretty dangerous on the base, too. Michael Harris is a high-contact, high-leverage hitter who sets the table and consistently drives and runs. His ability to produce with runners in scoring position make him a high-leverage liability for any pitcher. And Austin Riley, a classic power threat, when locked in, can break a game open with a single swing. So when facing the Braves, the Giants' defense positioning is critical. Given the Giants' negative defensive runs saved in the outfield, the team must prioritize positioning that limits the damage of the line drives to the gaps, which is where Atlanta's offense frequently capitalizes. So that's it, folks. It's going to be a tough one for the Giants in Atlanta. We're going to have to keep our fingers crossed, our legs crossed, even our arms crossed to get through this one with a series victory. So let's go Giants. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for listening to the Buster Ball Podcast. Take care. Go Giants.